Announcement. We now have a Discord. Come join the community and let's discuss some big ideas. Trigger warning. This episode of Belief Talk contains themes of antisemitism and racism. I do not endorse any of the views of my conversation partners. Belief Talk offers non-confrontational interviews where I don't push back too hard on their beliefs.
They've taken out books of the Bible, but this is a book about the white race, the story of the white race. That's all this book is for.
Like, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say if someone could come into this conversation and explain to you to your satisfaction, would that lower your confidence in that the Earth is not a globe?
No, because I've dealt with these people. I've been a flat earther for like 7 years.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. Just so you know, I'm a YouTuber. I record videos with conversations with strangers, talking about what you believe and why. I was just wondering if you'd be interested in having a conversation about something you believe in.
Sure.
So obviously, it's a bit confrontational to just jump straight into it, but just to give you some context, I'm not going to be screaming at you or anything. I'm practicing this thing called Street Epistemology, which is just to try and understand your what's something you believe in, and just try and I'll ask questions to try and understand it in a better perspective. So it works really well if you have something that you believe really strongly. And that's something that you can have a claim towards that. So maybe it could be that you believe ghosts are real, or that God is real, or that you could believe that maybe the Democratic Party is the best party in the world, or whatever.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, before we go any further, I haven't seen your channel.
Yeah, I'll give you the link.
Can I just ask you a couple quick questions?
Absolutely. And of course, if you don't want this interview to go up by the end of the conversation, I won't use it.
Okay, so your name is David.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Brian.
Oh, hi,
you
Brian.
You live in the UK, or where you live?
I'm in Australia.
Australia?
Yeah.
Are you? What's your ethnic background?
I've just finished an ancestry test. I'm mainly Scottish, English and Scottish, I think, and a bit of Italian.
Cool. Excellent. Okay. Proceed.
Okay. So do you have any beliefs that you hold quite strongly?
Yes, as a matter of fact. So I have a BitChute channel. You ever heard of BitChute?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Well, BitChute.com is a website. It's one of many. That's kind of an alternative to YouTube. A lot of us are refugees from YouTube that got kicked off of YouTube because of these beliefs, and so I'm on BitChute. But my channel, I talk about how the Earth is flat, and how the white race is the true, pure Adamic white race, and we're the true children of Israel, and how the Jewish people, the modern Jewish people, are stealing our identity as the covenant people and calling themselves Israel, and they have no claim to any of the 12 tribes of Israel, and how they're basically everything that Jesus said they were.
Okay. Well, do you, out of all those things I heard, flat Earth, some things about Jews and Israel, is there any one of those things that you'd be happy to discuss now? Maybe we could talk flat Earth, or...
I think we might have to keep them somewhat intertwined, because they both go hand in hand very strongly with me. Okay. But I will say, belief is the death of intelligence. So I know what a belief is, and what a fact is, and what's provable, or what a logical thought process is, compared to someone saying everybody knows. Some of the things that everybody thinks they know is just wrong.
Okay. So would you say that this intertwined belief is essentially that? Would you say how would you, if you could sum it up in one sentence, so we could investigate it? What would you say it is? So the Earth is flat.
Okay, so me kind of, so I'm an American. I was born in 1982, and oh, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're, uh, well, basically, you know, to really understand, you'd have to kind of, for me, 9/11 was an event that really got me like looking into things,
Mm-hmm.
and then one thing went into another, and one thing went into another, and I really wanted to get a handle on, understanding what we're told.
Okay.
Because I was told a bunch of things as a child, just like everybody else was, that just ended up not being true. And
Mm.
we need to look at why we were lied to and who lied to us, and why, and why things are going crazy all over the world.
Is it
Um,
is it possible that I mean it'd be easier if we was thinking of one specific thing, but is it possible that we weren't lied to? Is this that the people that gave us information were also mistaken?
well, yeah, like your basic high school teachers, they're probably not in on the lie. They're just going through their syllabus and teaching what they were taught.
Yeah.
But there is one group of people that claim to have the highest IQ of any group of people on the earth, and I point my finger at these people. They know better, and they've pushed their lie in their movies and perpetuated the lie. So when you're watching TV, which I haven't watched TV in like many years, but anytime I'm someplace in public, they have the TV on, I get sick. But yeah, they're showing you that globe like all day, every day, starting with when you're a little kid and you
Mm.
don't have the ability to think critically or anything like that.
Could we investigate the flat Earth model? Because that's something I'm really interested in.
We
Could
can
we?
do a little bit of that, but I don't like people's opinion to be swayed on what I say or how I make them
Yeah,
feel.
yeah. I don't want. Obviously, obviously, you're not like the messiah of the flat Earth movement or anything. You're not.
Right. I'm just someone that's done
Yeah.
a strong amount of research on it to
Mm,
where I don't have all the answers to how all the inner workings work,
yeah.
but I can break it down pretty easily.
Do you think if I was to give you a confidence scale from 0 to 100, 100 being
Yeah.
100% confident and 0 being not confident at all, what would be your confidence level that the Earth is flat? Or let's not say flat. Let's say not a globe.
Not a globe, 100%.
Okay, I'll just write that down.
Not a
100%
globe in outer space.
the Earth is not a globe. Okay, cool.
Not a
Um,
spinning water ball that came from a big bang that came out of nothing that
yeah,
turned us into primordial ooze that turned us into monkeys that turned us into people.
yeah.
No. No way.
So I also imagine that you don't accept the theory of evolution or the age of the Earth being older than 6,000 years.
I don't know about the age of the earth thing. That's really tough for me to wrap my head around because I know they're lying
Okay.
hardcore about history, like
Mm,
hardcore.
yeah.
And so that's why I put my faith in Jesus Christ. That's something that is like a belief, a faith for me. That's something I can't prove,
Hmm.
but there's a lot to point to him
Hmm.
as something good to be embraced by the people he's here for.
Just a side note on that. When you say that you have faith in Jesus Christ, what would you say to someone who has faith in, say, like a different type of God? Are they just as justified as you are with your faith in Jesus?
Well, it honestly kind of, I think it would depend on the race of this person.
Hmm.
If I'm talking to another white person and they're worshiping like Krishna, I'm gonna have concerns for this person. But if they're like, from that region, I guess maybe
Or like
Indian
maybe what
people.
about like the Roman gods? If they were like they worship the Roman gods.
Well, that's the thing is I do get into it with the pagans. It's an unfortunate thing because as a Christian, myself and the pagans, we acknowledge that we share a strong enemy, but there's a lot of infighting with Christians and pagans, and they're pointing to us and they're saying, "You fools, you worship a Jewish God. They created this God for you to make you submissive and weak and
Hmm.
make you subservient and turn the cheek, and you're just weak." And then I'm telling them, no, no, this is the God of the white man. You've been fooled. You're believing the Jewish narrative,
Yeah.
yet again, and you've got hate in your heart, and you're not looking at the good things that Christianity has produced,
Yeah.
and how all white nations were Christian nations, and they were all very innovative nations, and they were the safest nations on earth. And I noticed that this younger generation has this hatred for Christianity, and I used to share a similar hatred when I was a young man. Uh, but it wasn't because I thought it was a Jewish religion, although they did teach us that Jesus was a Jewish carpenter when I was growing up Catholic. I've since found out that that's the biggest lie I've ever uncovered. The biggest lie that's ever been told is that Jesus Christ is a Jew or that he's Jewish.
So, okay. So is Jesus the Messiah?
Jesus is the Messiah of the people known as Israel,
Okay. And
and no
so
one else.
so is there a difference? Are you drawing a distinction between Jewish people today and Judaism as Israel from 2000 years ago?
Well, it wasn't. The Jews of today are still practicing the same form of Judaism they always have. It's
Hmm.
just that they're not the people of Israel like they claim to be. They're the
So,
enemies of
but if Jesus was the Messiah of Israel,
right.
wouldn't that make
Yeah,
him
he's
Jewish?
so what's going on is these Jews of today, these modern Jewish people, the modern Jewish people, they have this state called Israel,
Yeah.
and it's kind of it, what they're trying to do is they slowly but surely through the generations through the infiltration of the church and the government and pop culture, they are trying to convince white Christians that they are the people of the Old Testament, that they're the Hebrews of the Bible, and they're not.
Okay.
So that they're trying to steal the true Israel's covenant, and true Israel has forgotten who they are. So they're kind
Okay.
of scattered, and they've forgotten who they are,
But
and they once had prosperous nations, but they've turned away from the law, and now they're being punished by God.
I think I'm following you there. Where I'm getting a bit confused is when how can Jesus be the Messiah of Israel and not be Jewish?
Because again, these Jews that call themselves Jews, do you have a Bible on you, or are you able to pull
Yeah.
up a Bible verse?
Yeah. I've
Do you have you able to pull up Revelations 3:9?
I sure can.
And I'll try to keep this YouTube friendly because these people aren't going to quite like what I have to say, but I have plenty of these people that have backed up what I'm saying in certain publications. So these people whisper one thing in one person's group of ear, and they whisper another thing in another person's
Mm.
group of ear, and they censor another group of people. They're having trouble keeping their lies straight. It's all
So
kind of coming.
Revelations 3:9, I will make those who are of the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Jews, though they are not, but they are liars. I'll make them come down to your feet and acknowledge that I have loved you.
So read that one more time, a little slower and a little louder. And
Sorry.
let's just try to figure out what Jesus Christ is saying here.
Um, I will make those who are of the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be the Jews, though they are not, but they are liars. I'll make them come and fall down at your feet and acknowledge that I have loved you. Sorry, I'm a bit dyslexic.
That's all right. No, that's well done. So Jesus is talking to these people here,
Mm-hmm.
the Pharisees, the priest class,
This
and
is
he's
to the
saying,
Church of Philadelphia.
what's that?
This is a segment of the to the Church of Philadelphia.
Okay, but he's talking to the Pharisees, Jesus is, and he's saying, you guys call yourselves Jews, but you're not. But
Oh,
you're a bunch
okay.
of liars. He goes, you're a bunch of liars, and
Okay.
you're the synagogue of Satan.
So
So then
would
they
Jesus
obviously,
would
yeah.
Jesus be a true Jew, and the Jews that he's talking to are not real Jews?
Jesus would be a true Israelite or a true Hebrew. But
Okay.
that word Jew is a tricky word because it didn't come around to like the 1700s, and it really shouldn't be in the Bible. But so
Okay.
when we
So
see
we're
the word,
okay. Now I understand. Now I think I understand. So we're talking about the same group of people, but you could just
so Jesus Christ comes from the tribe of Judah.
Mhm.
So when you see the word Jew in the Bible, they're either referring to a citizen of Judea, which could be, different races of people, or they're talking about a Judahite, like someone from the tribe of Judah, or they could be talking about an Edomite. And an Edomite is someone that is a descendant of Esau, and
Oh, I didn't know
that's the
that.
modern day Jews. They're descendants of Esau, and Esau lost his inheritance to Jacob, who was his brother,
Mm-hmm.
because his mom, their mom, they didn't want she didn't want the inheritance to go to Esau because he was low character. She wanted it to go to Jacob, so they kind of tricked the father into giving his inheritance to Jacob. But Esau ended up becoming a race mixer, and he married into this Canaanite bloodline, the line of Cain. Cain murdered his brother Abel. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he went off and repopulated these cities, and Esau married into this satanic bloodline.
Okay.
And so the white race is a pure race that stayed pure in their own nations for thousands of years, away from the other races. And we are the descendants of Jacob, Israel. The Jews are descendants of Esau. And they even admit this in their 1925 Jewish Encyclopedia, and they admit this in their 1980 Jewish Almanac. But they're trying to keep this hidden. They don't like telling non Jews this. They're trying to pretend that they are Israel, and they're not. And
It,
Jesus said they're not. And the reason they're pretending to be Israel is because God has a covenant with the people of Israel. And that's why Jesus Christ was sent to fulfill that covenant.
would
Only with the covenant, only with God's pure race children. And so
this
the European,
this is all extraordinarily, and I don't mean this in any negative way, but left field of what I understand.
it's
Um,
because everything that you and I were taught, not just about the Bible, but about the earth, how it works,
is wrong.
psychology, about groups, about races, about everything. Everything they taught us is complete and total utter nonsense. And I think you have to at least grasp the fact that you're probably surrounded by a lot of adults, or you see people on here that are adults, but they have the minds of like 6-year-olds that were
Mm.
abused. I mean, these people are fucked up. And now with the COVID shit, you're seeing just how these people are so far away from their natural instincts, their natural senses. They're so far away from their ancestors that they're just basically waiting for commands from the government. Like, can I breathe? Can I have a business? Am I allowed to defend myself? Am I allowed to speak? It's like, dude, you are these people that Jesus Christ said you're the synagogue of Satan. They've infiltrated all the governments of the Western societies. They've
So,
infiltrated. They're in control of our military. Okay,
so
these are the descendants, and they brag about how they killed Jesus Christ. They took
mm,
Jesus out of the schools, when our parents were, whatever, before our
mm,
parents were around. Now they're teaching the kids to be transgender.
okay.
These people are the synagogue of Satan. They're the literal children of the devil. You can read more about what Jesus had to say about these people in John 8:44. I mean, he was extremely clear
Yeah.
about his views on these
I
people.
I do. I'm interested in what you're saying. I also am acknowledging that that I don't want to step too much into the field of like what could be considered prejudice against a certain race.
Right, right.
But
I'm just breaking down the true
yeah, yeah,
Christianity. True Christianity for you, because these people, these communists, these Jesuits infiltrated the Catholic Church in the 60s and probably well before then. And now they've just twisted it to where evil's good and good is evil. And they've just perverted the word of the Bible.
can,
Everything's been just totally upside down.
I
And then
have.
don't get
Sorry, I have one more question before. I don't know how much time you have because this is really interesting to me. I'm learning a lot. But I did have one question about Adam and Eve. Do you believe in Adam and Eve? Like,
yes.
what race were Adam and Eve?
They were the first white people.
And how did other races come out of the white people?
I'm not sure if they came out of us, or I'm not totally sure about that. There were other races before we were created. It's just that God has really nothing to
weren't
do with them.
weren't the first man and women created
That's
by
why
God?
these other gods might be their gods, but our God is Yahweh.
Because it
And
says
he created Adam and Eve in his image. He breathed his life into us.
it says in the
And so
beginning. It says in the
that's
beginning
why
God created the heavens and the earth, and then it says He created man. Genesis
yeah,
1. Yeah.
yeah.
But so you're
But
saying that
there's like there's
there were
other
are you saying there were other groups of people living before God created?
correct.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
might not. There's another story. Like I think this, and this is a little fuzzy for me. I'm still learning, but I think there's multiple creation of man stories. And they
Oh,
get a
okay.
little confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, because Cain, for example, he killed Abel, but
Mm.
then he went off as a wanderer and he repopulated the earth and other cities. So I think the flood was just a localized flood.
Mm. Oh, okay. Interesting. Do you well that was super interesting because I've got a background in I like to study religion and stuff, so that was interesting to hear your perspective. But just regarding the earth is not a globe, your confidence, what got you to such high confidence for the earth not being such a globe? Like if you could give me a few things.
Well, I would say this was back in like 2016, maybe 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I think Obama was president. And anyways, I had never heard of flat Earth before. And Obama was talking in a speech, and he's like, "We don't have time with the meeting of the Flat Earth Society." And I'm like, "What's this guy talking about?" And then I think he said it again in another speech, like, "We don't have time to talk with these flat earthers." And I'm like, "What the hell is this guy
Mm.
talking about?" Because I'm someone that kind of stays pretty current on like subcultures and different kind of cultures and groups of people, that I like had never heard of these people before. So I'm just like, I want to know what the leader of the free world is talking about. Like, is this like a joke or like some kind of inside joke? Or so I like look up flat earther, and I just start looking at their claims, and I'm like, we never went to the moon, and I'm like, oh well, I knew that because I had learned about that, but I didn't know it had anything to do with flat Earth. I always thought it had to do with us like bankrupting the Russians or something like that. That's what I
Mm.
used to believe. And then the flat earth makes way more sense, but I started looking at all their claims and I started like trying to debunk like the flat earth. I'm like, this is so stupid that there's
Mm.
people out there that believe in this. And I start like thinking myself like, how do I know I live on a globe again? And I'm like, well, obviously the moon landing is faked, but how do I know that I'm on a globe? And I start trying to like relearn the heliocentric model with an adult, mind. Because like it's one thing to learn it as a kid, you're just trying to pass the test, whatever these people say, okay, whatever. But then you're like learning as an adult, like they're saying that we're traveling around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour, and we're on a negative axis of 66.6 degrees. And then you learn how Polaris, the North Star, just stays there, and how all the other stars and constellations rotate around that. And you just start asking questions, and I just couldn't debunk it. It got to the point where it just like there's like I started studying their curvature formula, and then I just realized that there is no curvature, and I totally debunked it.
Okay. So would you say that I'm just trying to be formal in this? Would you say that the two of the main reasons are the heliocentric model doesn't make sense, and also the curvature formula debunks? You debunked the curvature formula. Is that right?
Right, NASA. I mean, it depends on who your authority on this matters, but a lot of people go to NASA,
Mm-hmm.
and they have this very, specific math formula to find out a curvature over like curvature drop over a certain amount of distance. I think it's 8 inches per mile squared.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets constantly longer drop the farther you go. But we're just finding that their mathematical formula doesn't represent reality, because for the first time people are sending up these weather balloons with GoPros on them, and it's going up like 123,000 feet. Regular commercial flights go up like 30, 40,000 feet, but dude, these weather balloons go up 122, 123,000 feet, and they got cameras, and there's just no observable curvature. And so this is destroying NASA's math. Also, we have high powered optics like the Nikon P900 for the first time on the market, where you can like buy this and people could see far as super, super, super far, like really, 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 really far. And we can see these objects super far away that should be way behind the curvature, and they're just not. So NASA's screwed. Elon Musk is a fraud. Jeff Bezos is a fraud. All those astronauts on the Challenger mission are still alive. These people are just lying to us about everything. I know this is uncomfortable for people and they want to laugh and mock things that they don't understand, but
No, I'm not. I'm not. I don't like.
I know you're
I'm
not.
not
You're
doing
being
that.
cool. You're asking good questions, but I'm saying, like, to your viewers, some of them might not heard this stuff before. But if you still have faith in your government when they're pushing this deadly, I don't know what I can say on here, but the every I
The thing from China.
the yeah
Yeah.
their little miracle cure from Bill Gates,
Oh,
like
the yes. Yeah.
the thing you got to go 4 times for, maybe more, to get it right.
Mm,
Like people, these
mm,
governments are working together. They're all controlled by the banks. And Jesus was trying to warn us about these people. Henry Ford was trying to warn us about these people. Bobby Fischer was trying to warn us about these people. Like Jim Trafficant was trying to warn us about these people. Like a lot of brilliant minds. Look what the founding fathers had to say about these people that Jesus said calls themselves Jews but are not, but are the synagogue of
mm,
Satan. Look what they're pushing. Look
mm.
what they're pushing onto our people. Why are they so obsessed with race mixing in every TV show, movie?
Mm.
Why?
It,
Why? Why are they so obsessed?
I
This country America has tons of different groups in them. And if you watch American TV, If you were a foreigner, you would think that only white women and black men live in America. There's no
Mm.
like Asian representation or Indian representation or anybody. It's just white women and blacks.
Well,
And
it's
people
gotten a
need to
lot.
wake up.
It has gotten a lot better in the last 4 years since you've stopped watching TV, because there's a lot like a lot of Indian actors. Like Silicon Valley had some Pakistani actors on there, some Indian actors, some Canadian actors, some there was a good selection. But just in regards to the Earth not a globe percentage, you are 100% confident that, and the reasons you kind of pointed out, among other things, were some of the things that came out for me. The heliocentric model doesn't make sense, debunking the curvature formula, weather balloon footage, and high-powered optics.
These people are using perception management in their motion pictures and entertainment to mold your mind to accept certain realities and premises.
Okay.
Star Trek, Star Wars, all these space movies from people like Steven Spielberg are only there to mold your mind to accept far out,
Okay.
ridiculous crap. And those that make you believe absurdities can get you to commit atrocities. And that's what's going on all over the world. You have these police just brutalizing their own people because they've been ordered to, coming down the chain of command.
Yeah.
These people are going to start despotism. These are the Bolsheviks. These are the people that murdered 60 million Christians, 40 million Chinese. These are the people that were behind the African slave trade, and they're blaming white people for that. They plan on wiping out most of the world, and then they're going to have world.
Just to stick on the topic of flat Earth, I know it's all intertwined, but with these things that you've mentioned, if I was to, like, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say if someone could come into this conversation and explain to you, to your satisfaction, these things, explain them away, would that lower your confidence in in your confidence in that the Earth is not a globe?
No, because I've dealt with these people. I've been a flat earther for like 7 years, and I've
Yeah.
listened to these people like cling to their globe, and like
Even
people have been trained.
But even if it convinced you, so like let's say if someone came and showed you how the heliocentric model can work, and it convinced you, like, so you're like, okay, yep, that actually works. Would that lower your
Yeah, I was
confidence at all?
convinced as a child. I believed in evolution. I'm like, yeah, this all makes sense.
But it wouldn't lower your confidence, even if it could convince you.
I mean, there might be a lot to this Earth that I don't understand. Like, there could be a hole in the North Pole that you can get into. I don't know, but I'm going by the evidence, and I know that water lays flat. It doesn't bend. It doesn't bend and curl to a ball. You have to have a solid. You can't have like a what is it? A vacuum in space connected to our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like one's going to there's going to be an equilibrium. It's going to get sucked into one another. There needs to be a solid barrier.
Well,
so it's impossible.
That's what I'm asking you though. That I'm not saying this is the case, and I'm not going to provide you with evidence
one way or another. But
what I'm saying
is Warner von Braun was.
No, but hang on a sec. What I was saying is if the evidence did sway the other way, like you found more evidence and it swayed to the Earth actually being a globe, would that lower your confidence that it's from 100%?
What I'm saying is I used to believe when we lived on a globe. Okay, I used to believe all that.
I'm with you.
And so I've dealt with people for years trying to do this, trying to sway me like, oh, you just don't know what black holes and dark matter is and relativity and, dark Newtonians and all this. See, that's what people are so bamboozled with this ridiculous language. This is a religion. If I can't go to outer space, but Jeff Bezos can, we've got a problem here because Jesus pointed to him and his descendants and said, they are the children of the devil. There is no truth in them. Go in the Bible and just read John 8:44. Just see what Jesus has to say. People have to pick. Are you with Jesus or are you with the people that murdered him?
Okay. But where
done my research.
yeah, sure, but I know that you have, and I'm not trying to say that there is evidence to the contrary, because I haven't looked into it, to be honest. But what I'm actually asking though is if there was, if you were, if the all the evidence that you have for the Earth being flat, if someone was to come and present something to your satisfaction, I'm wondering why that wouldn't reduce your confidence. That's all.
I'm
Yeah, like
saying if someone
it's
could,
a
if
because
someone could,
it's a hypothetical. So
it's,
I'm saying I'm
what I'm
essentially
saying is I'm going with the evidence. And I'm
yeah.
saying for 7 years, all these people that fancy themselves intelligent, that went to the universities and think they know this and that, have tried to get me to go back to the globe. And I'm just laughing at these fools because they can't see the simplicity of how ridiculous it is.
Could it be possible that you just haven't met the right people?
I think you're like really stuck on this. You're like, why doesn't this guy believe
No,
what
no.
I believe? How can we get this guy to be
No,
back
no,
to the
no, no.
group?
I can explain. I can explain where I'm coming from. So,
Okay.
so say if someone came up to me and asked me, you know, Dave, why do you think your wife loves you? And I'd say, well, and I could list off these things. And then if someone came to me and said, well, do you think if all those things weren't true, like if you found out that she wasn't telling you she loved you and all that stuff, would that change your confidence? Well, I'd say, well, yeah. But I find that because what happens is I find that when people believe certain things, whether it's religion or something,
Right.
they say that they follow the evidence, but they'll follow the evidence up to a point, and then they will almost form their identity around that point, and then the evidence almost doesn't matter anymore. So what I'm asking is, does the evidence still matter? Like you've arrived there
Well,
because of
what?
evidence.
Yeah, the evidence matters. What I'm saying is, I've spent a good amount of time looking
Mm,
at this because the Bible says you can't serve two masters.
yeah,
So, like, I've sacrificed what normal people would rather have.
yeah,
They'd rather have the job and career and the family and just go along with the program and just kind of be ignorant to things. And, well, I got this from Fox News, so I'm going to go with Fox News on that one.
yeah, or CNN,
You know,
or yeah, yeah,
I went for the truth. Okay, I
yeah.
serve Christ. I don't really care for money. I don't care if I die tonight in my sleep because this world's sick. People
Okay,
can't even look and go with the truth. They
yeah,
hate the truth. They avoid at all cost, and they're going to burn in hell. I mean, these
okay,
people are living in a fantasy world. They're making children wear masks. If you know anything about communism, you should know where we're at and who's in control. And it's to the point where these people are they get off on pain and suffering and just lying to people. So that's where we're at. These people aren't even hiding it anymore. They're open Satanists. And everything they've taught us and mom and dad and our aunts and uncles was an illusion. We were living in a fantasy world, and now it's all crumbling. And people are, you know what? Maybe a lot of people have to go through some more suffering. Maybe they have to starve before anything I say makes sense.
is
Because they're in this childish state of mind where they think they're winning. They're like giggling, giggling all day long, like, oh, I got my ID card and I can go to the concert because I got my vaccination ID card. Like, dude, you people are never gonna get it, you know.
mm,
So I mean, I don't know. I'll
well.
answer your questions, but we've gone so far off the deep end a long, long, long time ago,
Would
and
you
now
say is there something that someone can do to like at home, like just to wrap this up, if someone is there something that someone can do at home besides going to like a YouTube video or something, like something that they can test in their home, like with maybe a laser or a camera or something to show that the earth is flat?
yeah, there's been people that have gotten footage. I mean, yeah, go out and buy a Nikon P900,
Yep.
and you can go over certain large bodies of water, like like for example, like like there's this girl Jenna Fredo, and she lives somewhere over lake, one of the Great Lakes, and she can see all the way over to Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
she can see these buildings all the way across one of those Great Lakes. and you can type in Genofredo, and you shouldn't be able to see this.
Can you type that out for me? Because I don't
Or
know how to.
same with Chicago over Lake Michigan. Like you
Mm,
shouldn't looking 60 miles away from Chicago. Those buildings should be 1,500 feet hidden behind the curvature, but you can see all the
okay.
skyline from
So
60 miles away.
if someone gets a P900, is it called?
Yeah, P900, they're awesome. My buddy brought one over years ago, and we were looking at the moon, and you can look at the moon like with total clarity, like
Oh wow.
it's crazy. And you can look
Okay.
at the stars. And when you look at these stars, you'll see that they're not physical objects, but they're just pulsating lights.
Oh, okay.
It's
So,
far
so
out.
do you subscribe to the idea that the moon and the stars are underneath like a crystal dome of sorts, like a firmament?
Yeah, that's why I was bringing up what's his name? Werner von Braun. He
Oh,
was a
okay.
German he was a German rocket scientist, like one of the founding rocket scientists. I think he like started NASA, and like on his gravestone he quotes Psalms 19:1, and that talks about the firmament, this crystalline dome that
Okay.
separates the waters from the waters. It talks about that in Genesis.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look. So Revelations 19:1 was it? Have to look at that up.
Yeah, yeah. No, Psalms 19:1.
Oh, Psalms 19:1. Sorry, Psalms. Well,
Yeah.
Brian, it's been a very interesting interview. Thank you for
Can I
chatting to me
leave
about
you
what
in the
you.
audience? Can I leave you with two things?
Yeah, go for it.
So there's a good video out there, and you might have to dig a little bit because YouTube tries to bury it, but you might be able to go to like Google videos, or you can find it at bitshoot.com. But it's called 200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball.
Okay.
200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. It's a great video for anybody that's curious about this subject because they literally go through 200 proofs. And
Mm-hmm.
they talk about these super long bridges where the architects never had to factor in any kind of curvature. They just go straight along the water, and they call it sea level for a reason. They call it a horizon line for a reason, folks. That's
Mm.
200 proofs the Earth is not a spinning ball. Find it, and then there's another video called 100 proofs uh, the the white race is true Israel.
Okay.
100 proofs the white race is true Israel. Look into that. The
Okay.
Bible is this Bible is not what people have been told it is. These churches want your money.
Do
They
you have
they, they
do you have a specific translation that you think is necessary for the Bible?
no, not really. I mean, the good old King James is probably fine, but just like I said, they've put this word Jew in there that really shouldn't be in there. It should be a more specific word, like
Okay.
like Judean or Judahite or Edomite. They've taken out books of the Bible, but this is a book about the white race, the story of the white race. That's all this book is for. It's not about the Jews, these people that call themselves Jews. They didn't write it. Moses wasn't a Jew. King David wasn't a Jew. Jesus Christ wasn't a Jew. They're Israelites, okay? And these people calling themselves Jews are Edomites.
Okay. Well,
And if I had more time, I could go into greater detail and
oh,
really get into it.
I'm sure you sound like a treasure trove of like information about this stuff. Is it okay if I use this interview on YouTube and I use
Absolutely,
your name?
absolutely,
And Brian, it
sure.
was.
Brian Grossman, you can find me on BitChute. Brian Andrew Grossman. I'm
Okay.
I'm a free speech activist. I'm an American,
How do you spell your
and
last name? Is it Grossman?
Grossman,
Okay.
and that is
And
Swiss German. It's not Jewish. Some
okay.
people think it's a Jewish name. That's Swiss German.
And are you currently? Do you mind if I mention that you're currently in America?
Yeah, I'm an
Okay. Cool.
American.
Cool.
I'm in the Midwest here,
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
I believe in free speech. And my grandfathers both fought in World War II for America, and there's over 20 countries in the world that I can't question the Holocaust, or I could be arrested and sent to prison.
Okay.
So what did my grandfathers fight for if I can't even question certain events that happened during that war?
Okay.
You know, these people are sick. We need to get these people out of government, out of the schools. They're gonna kill us all. Okay.
Okay. Well, I thank you
We
for
need
doing
to
the
get them
interview.
out of our countries.
Thank you for doing the interview, and I'll hopefully you'll see my video on the YouTube channel and leave some comments behind. Thanks for chatting with me,
What's your
Brian.
name of your YouTube channel?
DavidMcDonald.xyz will take you right there. It's hard to find, but it's just Dave McDonald. So if you go to David
Well, hey,
McDonald,
I appreciate your time and your curiosity.
thanks heaps.
I hope
Okay.
your audience got something out of it.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Brian. Stay up.
Hail Christ.
Bye.